skimping on answers to Whip of Erebos a little much.
Well, Matt has one copy of Utter End in his deck, and a lot of the decks in the top 8 have less than that.
Yeah.
So
we're underway here in the finals, or excuse me, the semifinals. Temples to begin.
a surprising lack of Banishing Lights.
Yeah.
It's not like that card gets blown up a lot game 1.
Yep.
It's a pretty good removal spell in the format.
See what Bohn wants to do on turn number 2 here. It's a plains, maybe. How about a forest instead? And there's a Sylvan Caryatid. He'll pass the turn back. Farrow. Draws a Doomwake Giant. See a Temple of Mystery over there. Looks like a Temple of Malady is where he'll go for land number 2. Take a look at the top card. Top card to the bottom. And an Elvish Mystic. Pass the turn back. Over to Bohn. Bohn will draw a copy of Bramaz. Also has a Siege Rhino in his hand.
But I think a curve of threat cards out of Matt's deck is not going to be that good here. He needs to present some disruption as well, so this Thoughtseize is really important.
Couple of Temples in Mystery and Malady, along with a Doomwake Giant. A Commune with the Gods, Whip of Erebos, and a Satyr Wayfinder. Those are the options for the Thoughtseize.
I think the easiest card to probably take out of this hand is Whip of Erebos. You can get fancy and try to take one of the 2-mana spells here and shut out John's Graveyard, but I think Whip makes the most sense.
I think that's the scariest one. There's a Plains. There's the King of Oreskos. We're heading back Farrow's way. Farrow will draw. It's a copy of Hornet Queen.
And likely with the requisite mana to get there, too.
How to get this ship moving, though.
For as good as Matt's opening is, he's down to just a Siege Rhino and another Bramaz.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a demonstration, potentially the power of Hornet Queen in this matchup.
Satyr Wayfinder with the whiff. There's a Temple of Mystery. Take a look at the top card. Thinking. Consulting the grip. Trying to figure out how the next couple of turns are going to go. And looks happy-ish.
If I'm John, all I want is mana. Because at least game 1, Hornet Queen's so hard for Matt to beat.
That's the big plan. It's got to be, right?
Yeah.
Just get the Queen in play, and then everything else in there is pretty easy. Sansep Citadel. And now there's a Rhino. Pass the turn back. Farrow will draw. It's a copy of Sylvan Caryatid.
And that's why John was thinking so long about that. Because the Caryatid is somewhere in between a land and not a land.
Little Commune action. Wayfinder's going to go to the grip. And another Wayfinder. Turn over a bunch of cards here. Forest going to go to the hand. A couple of cards going to go to the graveyard. Temple going to come into play. Setting up shop in. Well, you can't chump block a Siege Rhino. You can't chump block a Bramaz for a little while.
Yeah, John needs to just hold off long enough to get to the Queen.
Yep, that's it.
Now, the Siege Rhino tramples, which makes things pretty complicated for chump blocking and trading with the Queen.
But of course.
He's only got 5 mana this turn.
Doomwake might be able to bridge the gap the next turn and then get to the Queen.
Yeah.
And that seems to be what it's all about. It's just getting there.
For example, next turn he can chump off the Bramaz, take the hit off the Siege Rhino and the token. Next turn, Doomwake away the tokens.
Yep.
Then if Matt doesn't have a removal spell, he can't attack, period. And even if he does, you still can chump block and probably get to a Hornet Queen and not be dead.
Windswept Teeth to the land. Looks like maybe a Soren's coming down. Quick update for you there. Brian Scholl not wasting any time. He wins game number 1 against James Haim. Mardu up a game over Abzan. Not messing around.
Now this Soren is a big draw here. It means that John may have to trade with a token this turn rather than take the hit. It means the Siege Rhino is another point of damage this turn, plus another point of damage the turn after. And since John is looking at barely stabilizing anyway, that's a big pump.
Yep, just a little chunk block action.
It represents another 2 points of damage, which is a big deal here. One from the Siege Rhino, another one from the token that got through.
I see a bunch of lifelinks going to happen here. Both players are just making sure how much damage is being dealt, how much life is being gained, all that good stuff. But the plan here for Farrow, I think, still pretty straightforward.
Well, the other problem here is that he's at 5 mana right now.
Yep.
There's no guarantee he gets to 7.
Absolutely not.
He can't cast the Caryatid next turn, most likely, because he needs to play Doomweight Giant. He's only got the 1 force in his hand. So unless he has land number 7 drawn.
And he'll have to be untapped. Can't afford to be a temple or something like that.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, it's risky. It can't be an opulent palace either.
That's commune, so.
Still has a Doomwake here. There's Doomwake. Clear away some stuff. Pass the turn back.
Now, Doomwake's still not shabby.
Yeah, big body. That's important. Now, Bohn has removal spell, which he doesn't. You can see his hand from Maz and Mana Confluence. Things get ugly. So perhaps Bohn will have to shift gears and maybe make a flyer.
I think Matt may be better served just getting to the emblem.
Sure. That's very hard for Green.
Because this game is shaping up to go on for a long time. Even if John plays a Hornet Queen next turn, it's going to take a while.
Well, everybody's getting in.
I think this is a really solid attack here from Matt. Because if the Doomwake jumps in front of the Bramaz, you get to play your other copy post-combat. The worst case scenario is that you're knocking John to 3 with a block like this. Then he's in Siege Rhino range. You're also going to kill some of his creatures, so the emblem next turn gets better.
Well, there's your block. Some damage will come through. And the Rhino's going to die.
A really solid attack here from Matt.
Yeah. Just got to keep forcing through damage. So Farrow down to 4. Take a draw. Commune. Let's take a look at some cards. Sideboarding. And I'll go to the grip. There's a land. This is a Sidisi. Trigger. Hornet Queen among them. Soul of Innistrad as well. Zombie token coming.
Now, CC can give him some staying power against an emblem.
Yeah. The emblem, I think, is actually relatively easy for this Reanimator deck to beat.
It was not shaping up to look that way the turn previous.
Yeah.
But now it's a DC, and if he can get to Hornet Queen, certainly. Though Matt's playing with so much life at this point, and John's in no position to attack, that I think even in this sort of scenario, the Sword Emblem's still going to be very powerful.
Buying on draw. Courser of Crewfix. Not the best time for that. What's going on in the back of the match?
Well, yeah, some beatdowns.
How is this happening?
Game 3?
Yeah. It's tied up between Abzan and Mardu. Top card's a Wingmate Rock.
You know, even if the Sultai Reanimator deck has a lot of durability against a Sorin Emblem, this game's going to go on for another 10 turns or whatever.
Yeah, I think very easily.
It's hard to beat 10 free edicts. Even if your deck's pretty good against Diabolic Edict, it's hard to beat 10 of them for free.
Sure, sure. Well, he's cashing it in. Farrow says, thumbs up, you've got a Sorin emblem. Second time this weekend we've seen this. Pass the turn back. Sacrifice that zombie, that's for sure. Time for Farrow to draw. Forest was a biggie. There's that. Here's this. It's a Hornet Queen. 4 insects going to come along with it. Pass the turn back over to Bohn. See, life total's 41-4. Wingmate rots the draw. Top card now is a Windswept Heath. Heath will come into play. Trigger up to 42. We'll see what the top card is now. It's a copy of Verborg, so you have to imagine the Heath will get sacrificed here soon enough. Does not want to draw that the following turn. Token's going to come in. Pretty easy block.
Wonder what this is all about.
Yeah. And now you can't stop the rock. So that raid has been satisfied. There's your 3/4 flyer with it. Only get 1, not 2.
Still a good deal.
Yep. And pass the turn back. Sacrifice to the emblem. A little Farrow. Time to draw a card. It's, I believe, another copy of Hornet Queen. Safe to attack. If I was Matt, I would not be too thrilled with this.
It's still pretty slow clock.
Well, the clock isn't fast, that's for sure. But Hornet Queen is gumming things up and not letting him do anything.
It is a testament to the power level of Hornet Queen in this matchup that John's getting beat on every axis right now, and he's still not quite out of the game yet.
And heaven forbid he finds a whip. Because then things get real bad. Then you're sacking Hornet Queen to the Sorin emblem and whipping it back.
And there's no sweeper in Matt's main deck.
Nope. Sometimes we see a card like and hostilities in the main deck, but not here for Bohn. You'll find Doom Blast in the sideboard, and we'll get to that when we do discuss the sideboard. Hero's Downfall, the draw. Take a look at the top cards. Copy of Temple of Malady. That'll come in, trigger the Courser. A little scry action here as well. Temple of Plenty, that's going to the bottom. Top card, Sylvan Carry added. You see the hand, Bramaz, Downfall, and Manic Influence. But Bohn knows he's in trouble now.
Still think there's a lot to be gained by attacking. Matt should just hold the fort down for a little while, let the emblem do its thing, weather the storm of damage here.
I'm sacrificing the Hornet Queen. Wants one of those in the graveyard. In case he does draw a whip. Okay. Oakley dokley.
There you go.
Carry added. Surprised not to see the whip come down pre-combat.
This is pretty dangerous against the deck. I suppose he's confident Matt can't Thoughtseize because he knows the top card of the deck.
Yeah, he knows the contents, so. Sandsep Citadel. Top card, Abzan Charm. Put Gary into play. Pass the turn back. And we're going to activate the Soul. And that's part of the reason he didn't play the whip.
Yep. This is a really solid turn.
Yep. Get back 2 Hornet Queens and a Doomwake Giant. I've seen worse turns. Trigger the Sorin emblem. Carry at it, don't need you anymore.
Yeah, Hornet Queen is no joke against this deck.
Yeah, it's very hard for him to beat. It really is.
Well, it looks like the 4th and the 5th one is going to be what's really hard to beat here.
Well, I think the first one was too hard for him to beat. No, the second one obviously made things very difficult, but I just don't think this deck can really overcome the first one unless they're low enough and you get him in a Siege Rhino range. Yep, there's a pretty safe attack. I mean, he might just, just do this. Which is, I want to try to close this game out. He can attack with 7 of the insects plus Hornet Queen. That's 9. Puts you down 26.
So do you think there's an argument here for playing the whip first rather than doing this with Abzan Charm on the top of Matt's deck? Like, running Siege Rhinos is a possibility.
Running Siege Rhinos is a possibility for 1, 2. Okay, I guess he does have exactly enough mana to cast Charm, draw the 2 Rhinos, and cast them both. So That is actually a thing that could happen. I am a little surprised that he has not deployed whip yet.
I understand it. It's just, I understand the odds are really low, but I think that if John plays the whip that turn, he basically can't lose the game.
Yeah.
And there's some greater than zero chance that Matt can win the game this turn.
I mean, all you want to do now is shut him out. So, Utter End has been found off of Abzan Charm.
And that other end is a big deal now because it means that the whip doesn't get into play, which means that John can't gain any life, which means that this Siege Rhino scenario is still in play. Where if John goes back and gains 6 or 7 life last turn, I think he's got the game sewn up.
Yeah, I think it's probably over at that point. But now the door is still open here for Bohn, as small and as slight as it may be. To maybe rip off running Rhinos and steal this one. And it would be thievery. 3 mana. Charm. Looks like he's going to peel 2 more. Carry added. Courser. Top card, carry added. And I think if Bohn lowers his shields from Utter End, which looks like he's going to do, he's going to play Courser, play Manic Influence. He's got 2 carry addeds and a Manic Influence. As far as mana is concerned, now he doesn't even have that as he deploys another one. I think you have to play Whip this turn, get your shot in, get your life, and then you can't lose.
Yeah, and on the other side of the table there, if I'm Matt, I think he needs to hold up the Utter End for the same reason.
Yeah.
Because as long as John is at 4, there is the slightest possibility of him winning the game. The minute that John gains a chunk of life, it's over.
Swamped the draw. But I think now, if I'm in Farrow's seat, I'm deploying Whip, especially when I've drawn the 8th land as well. So I can play Whip and activate it if I want to. I just want to make sure my life total's just high, just that comfort. And knowing there's really nothing you can do to get back in the game. Don't have reach. I know your deck list don't have end hostilities.
Exactly. It's one of those scenarios where if John were to lose this game, you ask him, all right, I tell you lost the game, what happened? He's probably not going to say it's because I failed to get the 7th Hornet Queen into play on time.
Yeah.
It's because I got burned out, basically.
Oh, no whip again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. Looks like there's about 10 of these things attacking. It looks like just 8 are going to come into the red zone. Bohn's going to go down to 16. More queens. Pass the turn back. Bohn's draw we know will be a copy of Sylvan Carry added. See what the top card is here. It's a Windswept Heath. So that'll come in. Trigger the course, just go up to 18. Top card, Siege Rhino.
I don't know if Matt can hold down the fort now for 2 turns.
I would be surprised. I think there's just too many flyers out there.
But we're back in the spot where he can at least get the whip off the table.
Yep.
He has a downfall.
There's carry added.
He gets to gain 3 off the Siege Rhino.
Yep. John's attacks have been a little conservative.
Yeah.
Sacrifice a Hornet. Draw a card, you have Mycos. The window is so slight for Bohn to win this game. But it's still open. He's going reaching again. $12. Yeah, it looks like he's reaching for all the flyers.
Yeah,
now,
it's got to be.
It's going to be a lethal attack, so he has to do some blocking. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 tokens are attacking. And he's got to block. He's got to block both creatures.
Yeah.
Both 2 power creatures.
Well, he has a downfall in hand.
Sure. so you can cast that. Yeah, the question is, do I take out actual Hornet Queen, or do I take out an insect token? So you gotta do a little bit of math here. And James Hames has decided he's just done with his match. He wins 2-1. Those guys finished 3 games as we are finishing 1. Very impressive. Abzan mid-range to the finals. Bunch of damage is going to come through here. It's 2-4. Farrow with another Hornet Queen. Well, pass turn back. We've clearly run out of insect tokens.
Yeah. We try to keep the other non-official tokens off the table, but there's some circumstances where we don't have much of a choice.
Yes. Siege Rhino the draw. Temple of Malady on top. We're going to do a little bit. How many of those do you have? Just a couple? I wonder if we're in, like, Alpha Strike territory to gain life off of Wingmate Rock.
Well, certainly blocking is not going to yield much.
Yeah.
So
trigger those. Up to 4. Rhino. Well, I mean, that has to stay.
But this is the issue of not deploying the whip. I mean, if the top cards of Matt's deck were aligned a little differently over the last couple of turns, Matt could have stolen this one.
Yep. Pass the turn back, it looks like. Well, it looks like maybe we're doing some attacking. I think he wants to know, how does this work?
Part of the problem now is that the other end has been used. If John's aware of the deck list, he knows that's the only out to whip.
Yep.
He can cast whip pre-combat. So even if Matt's able to gain some life and survive the attack next turn, John most likely just plays Whip of Erebos, gains a ton of life, and then can win the following turn or the turn after.
This is like a little interesting because he's got to do some blocking here. So Bohn's going to go up to, he's going to go up to 10. Bunch of stuff is going to happen. Some creatures are going to die. A bunch of damage is going to come through. Most of Bohn's board is going to die. Outside of the Caryatids, which he's drawn 4 copies of. Now you deploy the Rhino. So he's doing some math, trying to figure out if he can live. But hey, if I'm mad, I don't concede here. I make my opponent kill me. I don't think I'm ever casting that Bramaz, but it looks like he's just going to concede the game. So John Farrow's going to win game number 1 here over Matt Bohn. Sultai Reanimator up a game here over Abzan mid-range. And we will get to the sideboards in just a moment, but it is time to come back to the booth as it is 6-month trivia time. Rules are pretty simple. Get your Twitters open. Use the hashtag of #SCG Premium. Make sure you're following SCG live. We'll announce the winner at the conclusion of our semifinal round, which is only this match, as the other one, James Hames, is already done, defeating Mardu mid-range with Abzan mid-range very quickly.
Surprisingly fast. I mean, usually that matchup, especially going to 3 games, is going to take longer than the 20 minutes it took us to get through game 1 over there, but yeah, sometimes it happens.
They did speed right through it. So Patrick, will have your question, and of course, all of our contests and giveaways here with SCG Live are the sole discretion of Star City Games. In no way are our contests or giveaways affiliated with Twitch.tv, though we do thank them for allowing us to broadcast on their fantastic network.
So John Farrow's deck, of course, has a lot of use of its graveyard for value, a lot of synergies there. To that end, it plays a Delve removal spell, the only removal spell in its main deck. Can you name that card?
You can, and we think you can. Hashtag SCG Premium. Make sure you're following SCG Live, and we'll announce the winner at the conclusion of our semifinal round as we do head back down to the match. We'll take a look at the sideboards, and we will see that Matt Bohn does have 3 copies of Bile Blight, a Glare of Heresy, a Erase, a Murderous Cut, and Unravel the Aether. And Liliana Vest, 2 Nissa Worldwaker, 3 Drown in Sorrow, and 2 copies of Doom Blast. I think that last card is probably the most important.
The 2 Doom Blasts seem excellent here. I think that Matt may even go deep enough to bring in Drown in Sorrow because Hornet Queen is such an issue. I think the Liliana Vest is going to be good here, and the Unravel the Aether and the Erase giving him additional answers to Whip of Erebos plus the other enchantments that John's bringing to the table.
Other side of things, 3 Reclamation Sages, 2 Negates, 4 Ashiok Nightmare Weaver, a Liliana Vest, 2 Drown Sorrow, and then 3 copies of Thoughtseize.
Really like Thoughtseize, really like Ashiok. I think the negates may be reasonable here given the threat that Doom Blast represents and the fact that the game's going to go on for a very long time. I think the Liliana also might be solid here.
I can see Liliana being good. I mean, games are a little bit drawn out.
Yeah. But Ashiok may be a big shift in the matchup here.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's not like Matt's deck is that good at attacking Planeswalkers. John's deck's very good at blocking. And in light of Matt bringing in all these sweepers that John's aware of, he may want to de-emphasize the creatures in general, bring in more Planeswalkers.
Hey, this is the recipe for how you go about beating Abzan midrange. It kind of revolves around Hornet Queen.
Well, that card is awesome there. And Matt was in the driver's seat the entire game, had a timely top deck of a Sora in there that I thought was going to be enough to push through some damage. Looked like the game was at equilibrium for a little while, but the Hornet Queens were just too much.
Yeah.
With no end hostilities in the main deck, even Bioblights would have been a big help there at various points. But Matt, with no real answers in his main deck to Hornet Queen, and he could not keep up. Still had a shot, still had an opportunity where running Siege Rhinos might have gotten it done, but he was not able to find it, and none of his other cards in his deck really mattered at that point.
Just a really, really good top 8 here for Salter Reanimator and John Farrow. I think his deck is just really well positioned. You know, if he's able to win this game or game 3, he's playing against Abzan midrange again, and it seems like that matchup is okay.
I think for Sultai Reanimator, the decks you're looking to avoid, probably the mono reds of the world. You probably don't want to play against blue-white heroic. I would imagine the Ascendancy matchup of various sorts is a little rough, but assuming people are playing kind of normal Magic against you, it has a lot of the same benefits of green-black constellations. When other people are trying to play mid-range decks, it has much more powerful tools for those sorts of games, whether it's Whip of Erebos plus Hornet Queen, whether it's Eidolon of Blossoms plus X. Those decks are really well suited to be the Mardus and Abzans of the world. Give up a lot of points in the beatdown matchups, but assuming those aren't really popular. And really the only super aggressive deck in the top 8 was what John played against the quarterfinals, which he was able to beat.
Snuck by it.
Tight match, but he was able to get it done.
Yep. Now we'll see if Farrow can get it done here again. This deck may be going to pick up in popularity. Abzan midrange very popular this weekend, as was Mardu, different builds of the midrange decks. But this might be, you know, the trump in the midrange mirrors, this sort of Salta Reanimator deck, or just a deck that's based around Hornet Queen. That's the deck. Those are the types of deck, that we've seen had a lot of success, be it, you know, green-black constellation or devotion strategies, you know, kind of just out mid-ranging the mid-range decks.
Those are the kind of decks that just don't care about Siege Rhinos and Bramazes. Those cards do not line up correctly.
Yeah. Both players will shuffle up. It'll be game number 2 for you in just a moment. But if you are just joining us, we appreciate having you. Cedric Phillips, Patrick Sullivan, StarCityGames.com Open Series here from Atlanta. At SCG Live, hashtag SCGATL for your tweets all weekend long as we make our way through the rest of this Standard Open and prepare for our Legacy Open. 9 rounds of action.
Yeah, I did not get an exact head count from the TED judge, but I was told 250-ish, which puts us at 9 rounds.
Last time we were here, Chihuahua Yim won the Legacy Open.
With some sort of divining top counterbalance strategy,
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
assuming?
of miracles, of course. Beating Brad Nelson in the finals. And then when we were here on my birthday, Stephen Mann got the job done. So some very skilled players won Legacy Opens here in Atlanta. We'll see who gets the job done later today as game number 2 is underway. Both players of the Temple of Malady to start. Bohn draw. Another Temple for him. Looks like he has a Thoughtseize. And perhaps he has some interest in firing it off right now.
He also may want to hold it. It's not like John's deck has a lot of really powerful turn 2 plays. So Matt may want to do something else and Thoughtseize him closer to turn 4, which is when John has some powerful stuff to deploy. Sometimes you want to give your opponent additional draw steps. So when you do Thoughtseize them, you get the most valuable card. You don't want to Thoughtseize a hand with nothing going on and then have them draw the card of significance. So if you can afford to wait, oftentimes it's correct to do so.
Plays out the Windswept Heath. And he will fire off Thoughtseize.
I think Matt may have been under the impression that there was a carry added in his hand.
Oh, that's awkward. Hope that's not the case. You see a whip, a Hornet Queen, a Sylvan, a Seder Wayfinder, DC, Ashiok, and a couple of lands. You have my coast and a swamp.
Matt's hand has to be configured pretty specifically to run it this way.
Sure.
He's leaving John with an Ashiok and putting a creature in the graveyard while leaving a whip. So I don't know what the plan is here, but we'll find out momentarily.
We certainly will.
It's a bizarre card to take out of that hand unless he's got a lot of specific action.
There's a Wayfinder. No lands found.
Womp womp.
Bohn will draw. Sandstep Citadel. There's that. Temple. No Citadel just yet. See if he likes what he sees.
Well, it's hard to rationalize leaving anything on top because he knows that John is going to be able to just untap, play Ashiok, and plus it.
Maybe we'll leave that card on top. Pass the turn back. Hornet Queen to draw. There's a coast. So I have to imagine it's Ashiok, and it is. Elevator going up. Couple of cards. Hero's Downfall among them. Coarser than a Thoughtseize. And attack for 1.
So Matt decided to leave a downfall on top of his deck.
1 less answer now to the Ashiok.
And even if he already has a downfall in hand, it still feels like you would rather put it on the bottom and give yourself the opportunity to draw it later if your deck gets shuffled. Or
Coarser Crew fix the card on top. Looks like he might be going with the Hero's Downfall here.
And you can see why now that Matt took the Sidisi out of the hand, because he had a Hero's Downfall for the Ashiok, and I believe he has Unravel the Aether in hand to handle the whip if that comes up.
Course, are going to come down. Farrow's going to have to take 1, but then we'll gain it right back there. So now we'll see the top card of the deck here in just a moment. It's a Temple. There's a Rhino. Trigger. Bohn up to 18. Farrow down to 16. I'll pass the turn back. Farrow will draw the Temple. It's an Opulent Palace. Palace will come into play. He's up to 17 now.
These lines are really important for John because I don't think he had a land in hand, and he's got all those Hornet Queens in his hand as well.
Yep. Forest on top now. And now there's a whip. And this is a great turn to take a turn off just to deploy that, even if it does get answered.
Yeah, nothing's going on.
Dune Blast the draw. 2 of those now for Matt.
Yep. The second one much worse than the first.
Inclined to agree. Unravel the Aether you can see in Bohn's hand. He also has a Courser and a Siege Rhino, and then those 2 copies of Dune Blast. Step 1, get in with the Rhino. That'll deal 4. The follow-up looks to be Courser. Take a look. Windswept Teeth. Trigger coming on in.
Yeah, that was the max greed play there by Matt. Because if there's an untapped land on top, he gets to play the Courser and Unravel the Aether in 1 turn if he wants to.
Force the draw. Top card, you have the My Coast. Yeah, I'll sacrifice this. We're in Farrow's draw step.
So if he's doing this, I suspect it means that he's actually going to be unraveling the Courser and not the whip.
That's what it seems like, yeah. Elspeth's the top card, and he will actually just go after the whip, okay?
Oh, we can run it this way, too, because it shuffles the deck, so maybe there's not a land on top.
Yep. Elspeth being on top might be pretty big here for Matt.
It's still fairly easily answered by Hornet Queen, but if Matt is able to go Elspeth into Dune Blast, that's very powerful.
Top card, Seder Wayfinder. Temple, trigger Courser. Wayfinder to the bottom, no interest in that. Top card is Temple, Mystery, pass the turn back. Does Bohn have a land coming? Nope, just a Courser. Still stuck on 5 of them.
A consolation prize of Siege Rhino this turn is not bad, but it's gonna be hard for him to attack going forward now because Hornet Queen is gonna get cast.
There's second Rhino.
Makes the Elspeth much worse, even if Bat can get to it.
Temple of Mystery is a draw. Thoughtseize is the card on top of the deck. Trigger the Courser up to 8. That's a Queen. 4 insects coming along with it. Pass the turn back. Bohn will draw the Courser. Top card is a Plains. That's land number 6 for Elspeth. There's that. Up to 23. Top card. That's land number 7 for Dune Blast.
And the Thoughtseize on top of John's deck does not help here either because there's the second Dune Blast.
Yep.
So it's a good set of draws here and Courser reveals by Matt.
Just 1 Rhino.
I like attacking with just the 1 Rhino because Matt knows he's going to Dune Blast next turn anyway, probably keeping the other Rhino. So you might as well cash in this for some damage while you can.
Sure. Time to figure out how to block.
Well, this attack has to put that card on John's radar. He has to be thinking about Dune Blast here because this is a really bizarre attack otherwise.
Yeah. They should have figured out, okay, what do you have? What could you be doing? The card said he hasn't really seen our Dune Blast.
But John also needs to leave himself enough leftovers. You know, if he blocks really heavy on the Siege Rhino to absorb damage, then Matt goes post-combat Elspeth plus it. Now you don't have enough flyers to take care of the Elspeth, and you're getting hit on 2 fronts. So John kind of needs to block enough to save as much damage as he can while leaving enough of his board intact to threaten the Elspeth that he knows is in Matt's hand.
There's some blocks, a little bit of trample damage there. Just pass the turn back. Commune on top. Thoughtseize is a pretty good place to lead.
I don't think John's going to like what he sees, but
I don't think so either.
I agree.
You're going to start by playing a land, now lead out with Thoughtseize. And here's the grip, double Dune Blast along with an Elspeth and a Courser.
I mean, John can take the Elspeth here and then try to wait out these Dune Blasts. Not the easiest thing to do, but I do not think he can leave Matt with a Dune Blast and an Elspeth. I think that's too many angles of attack. Because the way things are currently constituted, you know, this board necessitates a Dune Blast. I guess that doesn't work either because then the Siege Rhino just kills him over the course of 2 turns. This is pretty tough. Yeah, he may have to take Dune Blast here and then use the other Hornet Queen in his hand to weather the storm with the Dune Blast and the Elspeth.
Yeah, sure, post Dune Blast.
Yeah, exactly. It's really rough to leave Matt with an Elspeth and a Dune Blast, but now looking at the board, the fact that Matt has a Siege Rhino in play, I don't think he can be two Dune Blasts.
I don't think so either. How much he wants to attack with.
Give him the business.
You know, if they're going to die anyway,
Yeah, exactly.
might as well teach them a lesson on the way out the door. So 3 will come across. Yep, Dune Blast you. And now here comes the damage. Puts you to 2. Puts you to 1, actually, I think. Draw a card. Temple. Top to the bottom, the queen.
But now with John at 1, he has to put 4 toughness in front.
Mm-hmm.
And then beat the Elspeth on the follow-up.
I think a race being the top part of the deck is actually very important, too.
Cuts off a fair number of outs, too. He's also going to have to beat this Elspeth, and the erase is terminate against a lot of John's threats.
Yep. Coming on in. Yep, block like that. I'd have preferred to block with the Hornet Queen there.
Just to get it in the graveyard?
I think you want it in the graveyard. If you peel Whip, you can get it back.
It's also more flexibility for fighting Elspeth tokens or attacking a Planeswalker.
Yep.
2/1 Death Toucher is generally going to be better than a 2/2 Death Toucher.
You can just draw Hornet Queen.
Sure.
That's just that's an option that you do have. Attack, put it down to 3. Hello. Top of my deck is very friendly this morning.
Yep. These have been some nice draws here.
Follow up. Commune. Couple of cards. Yes.
Sure.
We are doing it if we're John Farrow right now.
Coming back a little bit.
Doomwing Giant in reserve. Okay. One good top deck does deserve another. Here's Thoughtseize, take care of that.
That top deck's not quite as good as the Hornet Queen top deck. So.
Hey, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Here's Courser. Top card. Elspeth. Beatdowns. I mean, I like attacking here. You're going to lose some stuff, but I still like attacking. Yep. Tick up. More soldiers. Say go. How's the top of John's deck? Didn't get a great look at it. Well, it looks like a spell. Courser's not bad. Trigger up to 2. Top card, Murderous Cut.
Going up to 2 is pretty important here.
Yep.
Welcome to the Premier IQ.
I would want to kill Elspeth if I could.
And now he has 3 blockers back against 4 attackers, so he can survive combat, assuming he sends the 2 Hornet Queens at Elspeth. Still is not a solution to the Elspeth on the top of the deck, but then John's, probably drawing pretty slim at that point.
Yeah.
We know the top card of his deck, Murderous Cut's not going to help him against a sea of 1/1 tokens.
Yep.
After you heal, I will come over and
Yeah, I think the 2 Hornet Queens just go after Elspeth. You leave the 2 insects in the Courser back.
our target is policy.
You have 3 blockers back so you don't die. Your blocks aren't great, but they're favorable enough. I don't know how much that accomplishes. Like, I feel like you either want to not attack it at all or attack it a bunch. Though I suppose, yeah, because you know he has a race, you can't get too crazy. So, yeah. Top card, Urborg.
But the thing is, your 2/2 Hornet Queens are worth a lot on defense.
Sure.
Eating up 1/1s.
So maybe it's just no attack at all.
Exactly. Attacking with just the 2/2 there doesn't really accomplish anything.
Yeah.
At this time, I'd like you to take out your deck list and write your table number in the top right-hand corner of your deck list.
If you're mad, I think you can afford to keep attacking. Like, of course you're going to tick up. That's easy.
Also, please make sure you have at least 60 cards in your main and up to 15 in sideboard.
I think he's just going to pass the turn back, maybe try to overwhelm.
Well, he knows that John's drawing dead now. He knows it's Murderous Cut on top of the deck.
Sure.
So there's no reason to make a move.
Pass the turn back. Land the draw. Sylvan Carry added. Yep, he knows it. See, kind of shrug his shoulders. These are the things that are going to get blocked. I'm going to lose a token for Murderous Cut and attack with everybody. The 4 creatures over there, you'll block those.
Murderous Cut kills something,
Yep.
and 2 points of damage comes across.
And that's going to do it. So they'll play a 3rd game. It's not matched just yet, John. Though friendly handshakes are A-OK in my book. So Sultai, Reanimator, and Abzan midrange are going to head to a 3rd game.
And you can see the difference there post-board when Matt has access to some sweepers. He's able to weather the storm of a lot of Hornet Queens that game, mostly because of Dune Blast.
Yeah, Dune Blast is, the trump, as it were, in this match. And, we kind of laughed about how, drawing the 2nd Dune Blast is not that great, but actually it ended up being very relevant.
Well, when Matt was stalled on lands, it looked really bad.
Absolutely.
But then when the Courser helped him get 2 land drops, 6 and 7, Dune Blast became much better.
Yeah. Some fun top decks there at the back end of the game, but Bohn able to win it and tie it up, and we'll see who does win game number 3 here. Winner of this match, again, is going to play against James Hames, who's playing Abzan midrange, number 3 overall seed, won very quickly over Brian Scholl playing Mardu midrange. So the potential here for an Abzan midrange mirror in the finals.
And those can go on for a while.
Oh, we got anything else to do?
People can get up to the 30s and the 40s.
Yeah, let's stay for a while. Got our legacy open here. A lot of players doing battles. We'll make our way through round number 1. We'll be joining that and likely round number 5 of coverage. 235 players doing battle in that right now. So healthy turnout here from Atlanta.
Just got over to the 9-round mark.
Yep.
Modern IQ also going on today.
Yep, getting that ready. A format that has been dominated by Treasure Cruise. A Teamer Delver deck winning the Grand Prix in Madrid. So,
interested to see what the ban list updates are going to be in Modern.
I have a feeling there will be some. Don't know what they will be, but I've got a feeling there will be some.
I don't know if Treasure Cruise is necessarily ban worthy, but it is incongruous to have that card legal while Ancestral Visions is banned. So we shall see. Though I think that Treasure Cruise is a slightly more dynamic card than Ancestral Visions, so maybe even if Treasure Cruise is more powerful, it's better to have that be legal, but it's possible Treasure Cruise is going to do some homogenization of the format. The Pro Tour will reveal all, I suppose.
Likely. Very likely.
Maybe Bloodbraid Elf can come off the ban list. Patrick Chapin wrote about this very thoroughly on the premium side last week.
As he's been known to do.
If you have not read the article, I suggest you check it out.
Super good. Super good. Some things can change. Some things can definitely change as far as the ban list is concerned for Modern.
There are, I believe, I'm trying to think how many cards I would unban in Modern right now. I believe I would unban 3.
Go on.
I would unban Bloodbraid Elf.
Okay.
I would unban Green Sun Zenith.
Okay.
I would unban Golgari Grave Troll.
I would unban Bloodbraid Elf. I would unban Green Sun Zenith. I would not unban Golgari Grave Troll.
Okay.
Because why?
Because the elements of a dredge deck already exist, like Stinkweed Imp is a thing and Golgari Thug and so forth. It hasn't been really close to a deck, and it's really weird to just say, all right, Dredge 6 is the tipping point, or it just doesn't make sense to have it on the ban list while a bunch of other nearly as efficient dredges are legal.
Yes and no. Like, I don't think there's any positive of unbanning the card.
That is definitely true. But there's a whole lot of cards that are legal that are not positive for the format.
Sure.
So I agree with you, but that ship has sailed to some extent.
That's fair. Tempo Maladies will begin game number 3. A little scry action for both players as they get their mana bases online.
And Matt has brought in the Bioblights, which seem excellent both against Sidisi and Hornet Queen.
Thoughtseize is going to reveal a Whip, Seder Wayfinder, a Courser, an Ashiok, and a Yavimaya. So looks like we might have an Ashiok game here. We'll see if he wants to take it or not.
I mean, if Matt doesn't have a Hero's Downfall at the ready, I think that he has to take it.
You can see the downfall there. He does have one in his hand. Yeah, it's between Whip or Ashiok. I think it has to be. Those are the scariest cards.
The rest of the cards are, those are the kind of cards that Abzan midrange is built to beat.
Top card to the bottom off the temple, pass the turn back. Farrow will untap and draw. We'll see if it's Courser or Ashiok. It's Ashiok. Get you. A Thoughtseize, an Unraffle. And a land. Coast will come down, pass the turn back. Dune Blast the draw. Doesn't know about that one. It's good to have that information hidden. Downfall, take care of Ashiok, pass that turn back. Over to Farrow. Farrow will draw. Might be time for a Courser, we'll see. And there is Courser. Top card, Palace, Trigger. Delta's next. Courser has been very friendly for John through these elimination rounds.
Yes, it has.
Downfall, the draw there for Bohn. 4 mana, it's a Rhino. He'll take 1 to gain 3. And Farrow will go a little bit lower as well. Top card, Land of War Waste. Trigger, 19.
Keep it coming.
Absolutely. There's a commune. Courser of Crewfix. Oh, with a couple other cards here. He'll take the Courser. The rest will go to the bin. Top card, Sidisi. He'll deploy the other Courser. And just pass the turn back over to Bohn. Bohn will draw a card. It's another Rhino.
I think I might have a slight preference towards taking a Wayfinder there over the second Courser. Though I suppose it gives you insurance against a removal spell.
Just gonna pass the turn back. No interest in deploying the other Rhino.
Well, I think he wants to be able to kill this DC with the trigger on the stack.
Sure.
The risk here is that John can just go do something else with his time, you know?
Absolutely. Why cast Sidisi if I don't have to?
He could just allow himself another development turn.
Oh, there it is. Hoping nothing goes wrong, but it'll be a Bile Blight. That's Hornet Queen. Hornet Queen's on top.
And Matt stalled on lands again here, which allows John the opportunity to get pretty aggressive with this Hornet Queen. He knows there's no end hostilities in the sideboard.
Yep. Oh, here comes the Rhino. The use of Bile Blight versus, I guess he had a Hero's Downfall in his hand, so the use of Bile Blight there.
He has another Bile Blight as well.
Okay, if that's the case, then I think that's fine.
Yep.
You know, it is, I think, pretty close, though, like downfall between Bile Blight, even if you have a second Bile Blight, because of just running Hornet Queens.
No, I agree.
Second Rhino comes down. It's 19-9. This is the kind of game that Matt has to have to win this.
Yeah.
And he needs to just keep pushing through damage.
It does get him to a spot where Doom Blast might be lethal.
Yep.
You know, the game can take this sort of a pace of Matt's getting in his shots, John stabilizing, we're waiting. John can't really do anything proactive. He can just continue to defend himself. And then Doom Blast from Matt's side of the table allows him to finish the game off.
Players, we have 116 players in the Modern Premier IQ. We will be playing 7 rounds of Magic. You have 50
Top
minutes.
card.
Open round
Temple.
1. You may begin.
Ugh.
On a heater. It's a lot of those.
Yes, it is. So many queens. There's number 1.
They're not in your deck to not draw them, you know?
You're not wrong.
Now, this is still not all doom and gloom for Matt. He's got a lot of resources to work with here.
I mean, with proper use of Bile Blight, he can really blow him out here. Because those Siege Rhinos have trample, he can make a play like this, which is just say, attack you.
I mean, this is good on John for diversifying his blocks here, because if he goes token, the Bile Blight's ruinous.
Yep. You Bile Blight after blocks are declared. There's nothing blocking it. You can decide 8 trample damage to your opponent and none to his creatures.
John might be splitting the difference here just because he wants to get a Hornet Queen in the graveyard, but in any case, this is much better than the alternative.
It's a good block. Now Bohn is deciding if he wants to use Hero's Downfall on the actual Hornet Queen. And it looks like the answer is yes, he's going to take some damage to do so. So kill that. 8 trample damage will be dealt over to Farrow. And as you mentioned, he might be able And Bohn to use Doom Blast is just a lethal way to push through damage.
I was not a big fan of the downfall there. I like using the Bioblade because losing a Siege Rhino in that spot doesn't matter too much when you're intending on Doom Blasting anyway.
Yep.
And you're likely not going to be pushing John into lethal because he has the 2 coursers in play.
Bohn on tap. It's time for a draw. Didn't get a great look at what he's found.
Just the hero's downfall after the fact is worth so much.
There's an Elspeth to go along with his Doom Blast. It doesn't seem as though Elspeth does a ton. Maybe it does.
Well, I think he can open up the turn here. I think he could have opened up the turn here with just attacking with the Siege Rhino. Because if John, blocks with some number of tokens out of respect for all the tricks that Matt plays, then the Elspeth can't be killed on the way back. And even if you miss on land number 7 for a while, the Elspeth is going to occupy John.
Ashak the draw. Hornet Queen on top. There's Ashiok. Couple of cards. Courser, Forest. Yeah, now you got to get creative if you're Matt. Elspeth's going to bite the dust. You have to figure out if there's some way that you can get John to cast that Hornet Queen so you can catch it in a Doom Blast. Draw a card. Because if I'm Matt here, I'm like slamming the 7th land in play and just saying go.
Yes. You need to induce some sort of action.
Yeah.
You can no longer win this game playing it straight up.
Yeah. I'm playing the 7th land. I might be huffing and puffing, and I'm saying go. That's my plan here. He's just going to pass the turn. Whatever you can do to induce that Hornet Queen to come off the top of his deck into play is what you need to do.
Exactly. And I think if you play land number 7 untapped, it's a much more convincing sell that you don't have Doom Blast than if you leave it in hand. Because John could still think, all right, well, he's got Doom Blast plus maybe a removal spell or something else in his hand,
And just doesn't have the 7th mana.
But when you play the 7th land and don't cast Doom Blast, it may give John the impression that that's what's going on. That you don't have Doom Blast, and maybe just have like a hero's downfall in your hand that there's no good target for.
Here's the attack. Draw it. He won't play the Hornet Queen.
Well, there's no reason to right now.
Oh, no, absolutely. Sandstep Citadel, along with Llanowar Waste. Now, if you're Matt, you got to figure out a way to try to win this thing. And you're going to have to get pretty creative to do so, but it might involve something like attacking, Doom Blasting this turn, attack you for 4, put you to 5. Hope you draw a card like Abzan Charm next turn. Who knows? He's just going to pass the turn back. He's got to get creative because he's in a bad spot.
And he's running out of time, too.
Opulent Pal's going to come in, trigger, gain some more life.
Another issue here is all these land drops push John up. So in the event that Matt does Doom Blast, it matters a lot less because John's going to have more life to play with. It's also going to make him less likely to need to deploy the Hornet Queen before the Doom Blast happens.
And John has made it pretty clear. He's not going to put anything else on the table. So your Doom Blast isn't getting any better. One could argue it's actually getting worse.
Yeah.
Third Siege Rhino is kind of interesting, but I think if I'm in Matt's spot right now it's time to shift gears again. It's time to cast Doom Blast because I've drawn a Siege Rhino. Attack, put you down to 7. I'm not going after Ashiok, I'm going after you. And let's see what changes after that. There's a land. And there's Doom Blast. But I don't really care about Ashiok personally. I want to try to get you dead.
Well, this to me feels one of those, the ship has already sailed on this sort of scenarios, Ashiok's in play. You're not going to be able to kill it without expending too many resources.
There's Sidisi. Thoughtseize, and Ashiok, so no hit there. There's Satyr Wayfinder. So a couple of cards are going to get turned over here. There's a creature among them, so.
Soul of Innistrad, too.
Yep. So he's going to get a zombie. He's going to put land into play.
And set himself up for another wave of Hornet Queens.
Yep. See Bohn draw. You got to turn over a couple cards here. So nothing there for Ashiok. The skill when playing against Planeswalkers is knowing when to ignore. And I think the last turn he was supposed to ignore that Ashiok. Bohn will draw. It's a temple.
It's pretty damning if John elected not to even put one of the coursers into play.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's all that was under there to begin with.
There's Temple. Take a look at the top card. That one's going to go to the bottom. Yeah, attacking. It's not a bad one. Yeah, double block.
And John can be so liberal about blocking now.
Absolutely.
Because he got Soul of Innistrad, so.
And he has Hornet Queen in his hand. He's going to activate the Soul now. He's going to get another Hornet Queen back. Let's make it 2 more. And hey, how about a Sidisi for funsies, perhaps? Or we'll go with a Courser. Keep the life total high.
The one Soul of Innistrad has been sweet in the slow matchups.
Yeah, in the mid-range matchups, it has been very, very good. No doubt about it. A couple of cards going to get turned over here. Wingmate Rock among them. And again, this is how he wants every game to go. There's Farika. So now we're going to get the God of Affliction online. Temple's going to put the top card to the bottom. Hornet Queen's going to come in. Plenty of green mana. Bunch of insects are going to come. And again, this is exactly how John Farrow wants all of his games to go.
Yeah. And now even Dune Blast is no reprieve.
Nope. Thoughtseize is about as bad as it gets.
Legacy players, your pairings for the second round are being posted.
You can cast it if you'd like, Matt, but you're not going to like what you see. 2 Hornet Queens and a Courser. That Queen will bite the dust.
Got one of them.
Sure did. Taught him a lesson. He's going to pass the turn back.
The card advantage that the Sultai Reanimator deck generates in matchups like this, you know, one of those over an infinite timeline kind of matchups, is so much better than Elspeth and Abzan Charms, and there's no comparison.
Murderous Crow is the top card of the deck. Farika's actually turned on right now. 2 for itself. 1 from Ashiok is 3. 3 from Hornet Queen is 6. And the Satyr Wayfinder is actually 7. So that thing is live. You can deploy something else if you'd like, but this looks to be close to lethal. 5, 6. So 9, 10, 11,
Yeah,
12, 13,
this is
14.
over 11.
Yeah, that's over 11. Do the math. I think Matt's going to come to the conclusion that we do. John Farrow's going to win this match here. Sultai Reanimator going to take down Abzan midrange. He'll give his friend a high 5 as he's moving on to the finals. They're playing against Abzan midrange one more time. We'll see if James Hames can stop this deck.
And a lesson there is that just a Dune Blast is not enough.
Yeah.
If you're backing up with a lot of pressure, then that's great. Or if your opponent doesn't find a Hornet Queen, that's great too. But on its own, it's not sufficient because the Sultai Reanimator deck, when the game goes on that long, has so many ways to recover. Even something like a Murderous Cut, the turn that you finally go and make your move, is enough to put the game back at parity. And the Reanimator deck has much more powerful tools once you're talking about turn 8, turn 9, you know, whenever this Doom Blast is getting deployed.